In this module and in the next module, we'll see that we have the genetic principles, what we have been talking about, how one generation transmits its genetic information to next can be useful for humans because human beings also transmit genetic information from one generation to the next. So first of all, I would like to tell you that we cannot, in order to determine genotype of a person, we cannot do test cross. That will be highly unethical and illegal. So the way we get information is we build the pedigree. We start from the patient or the person we want to investigate. We investigate the relatives of that, relevant relatives of that particular person, and then we build the family tree or the pedigree. There are specific symbols we use for making a pedigree. They are displayed on the screen. I'll point out some special ones. Male is a square, female is a circle, undesignated sex is a diamond shape. More importantly, this is how you write siblings. And consanguineous marriage, which is marriage between two related individuals, is with the two bars, and marriage between unrelated, not closely related individuals is with a single bar. These are the more important ones. There are of course other displayed too. Also, I would like to point out, affected with the trait is a solidly completely filled square or circle. Carrier of the trait, which will be heterozygous condition, is half full circle or half full, half colored box. Carrier for X-linked trait is a circle with a dot in it. We cannot have carriers with boxes because X-linked traits are only females can be carriers of X-linked traits. So let's look at this information. Now here's an example of a pedigree. So we started, for example, this person came in and he wanted to know this person had a disease, particular disease, and you wanted to investigate this. What is the mode of inheritance of this particular disease? Say if, for example, if this person wants to have marriage, wants to marry someone, he wants to know what is the probability he will have affected children. So you don't know whether the disease he's carrying is recessive or dominant. So you will start out by making his pedigree or his family tree. Here's an example. We have already talked about these symbols in our previous slide. So you make this pedigree. Now, when you look at this, you can immediately tell it is an autosomal dominant condition. Okay, how can we do that? We need to understand features of autosomal dominant disorders. We will go to that next. Here, also please note, when you are making a pedigree, the oldest offspring comes first, then the second oldest, third oldest, and the youngest is in the last. So this is how you make a pedigree. Now let's look at first the features of autosomal dominant disorders, then we look at the autosomal recessive disorders, and then X-linked disorders. So when we make a pedigree, the whole purpose of this exercise is, so when we make a pedigree, if we want to investigate a disease, whether it is dominant or recessive, a human disease, we should be able to do that. So here are the features of autosomal dominant disorders, major features. This kind of disease, autosomal dominant disease, can also be manifested or it can appear in heterozygous state. At least one parent of an index case is affected. I will show you the previous slide. Here is our previous slide. At least you can see one parent is affected. And both males and females can transmit the condition. I showed you that in the previous slide. You can look at it there at your leisure. When an infected person marries an unaffected child, the probability of having that disease is at the minimum 1 in 2, 50% chance, 1 chance in 2. Reduced penetrance. Some autosomal disorders, people have the disease gene which is causing disease, but gene does not manifest its condition. It's a rare phenomenon, not very clearly understood, but one of the examples is BRCA. It is type of breast cancer. Variable expressivity. I'll show you a graphic example of this too. In autosomal dominant disorders, certain diseases, although an individual has a gene for that particular disease, however, the symptoms could be very mild. Other person who has the same gene for same mutation, in another case, talking about two people. They have the same genotype, they have same type of genes. One is showing mild symptoms, other is showing very drastic symptoms. For example, here's a photograph of two people suffering from same disorder. It's an autosomal dominant disorder called neurofibromatosis. Here you can see one patient has these large nodules on his skin. The other patient just has café au lait, or these dark pigment spots. Café au lait is French for coffee with chocolate. So there's a big difference between the phenotype of these two individuals, although they may have the same mutation or same gene. Let's look at the features of autosomal recessive and X-linked disorders in our next module.